The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and are not necessarily those of WPSL. WPSL does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WPSL. It's time now to check your indoor air quality as WPSL presents Speedy on Call with Speedy Air Conditioning Service. Call in now with your HVAC questions at 340-1590. Now, here's your host.
Good morning. This is Dave and Jeff from Speedy Air Conditioning. We're happy to be here with you this morning, and this is Speedy on Call. We are a full-service air conditioning company. We do installation, repair, service, and we cover the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach down to Hope Sound. We just want to bring you up to date and just remind you that we do have some specials on right now in respect to new systems, and sometimes folks wait till it gets really hot out. But we have a couple of manufacturer specials on right now featuring both rebates and 0% financing, and one of them is coming to an end at the end of the month, and the other one's going to end in June. So if you are considering it all, now is the time to act to get in on the financing and the rebates for a new system. And again, if you call our office at 772-871-1560, they'd be happy to set up an appointment for whatever your need is, and whether it's installation, service, repair, we can handle all of that. On today's show, we do want to talk a little bit about installations. So it's something we haven't really covered on the show yet. We've talked about maintenance, we've talked about some financing, we've talked about rebates, we've talked about energy savings tips, but we really haven't addressed installation fully. And when it comes to air conditioning contracting in the state of Florida, some of my customers are really surprised to find out that the requirement to be an air conditioning contractor is that the owner of the business writes a state certified exam and passes this exam. It's both a mechanical and a financial component to the exam. And once they become certified, they are allowed to conduct business as a contractor, which is great. I think certification is great, and I think it's very important. The downside, the way in Florida, is that once that contractor's in business, we could hire pretty well anyone that we want with qualifications or not. And this is where it becomes very interesting because, at Speedy Air Conditioning, we feel it's extremely important to deliver a good product, not just the equipment we're selling, but actually installation. And that's sort of what we want to talk about today is the installation portion, not just the equipment portion of the installation. Because equipment's equipment. If it's installed correctly, it's going to function properly, it's going to last longer, it's going to service you well. If it's installed incorrectly, you could have a lot of problems over the life of the equipment, and probably the equipment's not going to last as long. So we are very diligent at Speedy in hiring qualified people, and most of our technicians and installers have gone to community college for air conditioning training. And then once they start at Speedy, we supplement that with additional training, typically working with one of the owners and making sure that the job that's getting done is getting done to our standards. So we have different mechanisms in place to assure that this is getting done, not just from the hands-on with the technician or the installer, but also checklists that we use to make sure that no steps are forgotten. And we would sort of want to go through some of those steps today in respect to the important or the key things that should be done on every installation. And whether you deal with, Speedy Air Conditioning or you have a contractor of choice, these are things that any reputable contractor should deliver on when they're doing an installation. And we sort of want to go through that, and hopefully we're not going to get too technical, but it really starts out with making sure, once an installation is sold, that when you show up to the job site, everything that's been written on that contract and promised to the homeowner is going to show up on the job site and get installed the way it was written and
I would
agreed
think
on.
the homeowner's pretty clueless as to what they're really getting. I mean, you
For the
guys are
most
air
part.
conditioning experts. You know
Yeah.
what.
For
but
the most part, I mean,
I press a button, it comes on.
with the
You know?
internet and YouTube, they can get a better idea of what actual
Mm-hmm.
processes happen. You know, just going back just on the installation, you know, the most important thing on any installation is that when the salesman is out there, they're scoping the job out.
Okay.
So the more information that salesman gathers and the more questions he asks the homeowners, the better installation you're going to get. Your wants are going to be fulfilled. And some people, they go online and go, look, that's a pretty unit. I want that.
Mm-hmm.
You get to the house and you go out, you know, it is a nice unit. There's no way I can put this in your house.
Okay.
That's just being a salesman being open and honest.
So that's the customer who's done the research, been on the internet, and found like the really beautiful pair of shoes they want.
Exactly. I mean, but if you're a size 8 and they only come in 7,
Yeah.
they're not so pretty shoes,
Yeah.
are they?
Yeah, just like me, I searched for a house. I had a vacant lot, looked for a house, found the house I loved, only to find out it would never fit on that lot.
Right.
So guess what? Yeah, I had to start over.
That's right.
There
That's
was
right.
no way they could shrink that house and make it fit on my lot.
Yeah, Jeff mentioned about doing a scope out and asking a lot of questions, and one of the comments we get on a regular basis is that, you know, once we've done our measuring and assessed what they have today, then we review the options that are available and make sure that our customers understand that there are options available that would fit in their application.
Okay.
Sometimes it's limited because of space, but other times there's a lot of options available. And the comment that we get is that they're surprised how much time we actually spend with them and the questions we ask, the data we gather, and we hear so often that, you know, the other guys didn't do that. And my question would be that how can you do a good installation without assessing what you've got to work with to make sure that the installation is going to be a quality installation
I think
at the
the
end
last
of the day.
time that we had to put air conditioning in, I kind of glazed over and I was really hot. It was hotter inside my house than it was outside, and it was in the 90s when it went. So it was like, how fast can you get here? You know? You know,
And
how soon can you get the air back
the
on?
desperation set.
Yeah, and today, like we're getting into the warm weather right now, so the desperation isn't quite there, but we're not far away.
It's
And
coming.
But I have
unfortunately-
to be really honest. I mean, I was totally glazed over when they came out. I have no idea. No, I'm clueless as
And
to
when,
what they.
and when you're very hot and you can't sleep at night, you just want to know how soon can I have relief.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, sometimes
And how much is this going to cost me?
Yeah, sometimes folks make bad decisions, or you know, they get a bad installation because they're in a rush to get that done, and you know, we understand that, and we try to, you know, have as much space available for installation. But when you get into the hot weather, most, you know, reputable contractors are very busy, and it's like you can't always do it tomorrow. You know?
Right.
And sometimes they'll go with the guy that can do it tomorrow, although they don't realize, like, why can he do it tomorrow? Like, why isn't he busy in the middle of summer when everybody else is? You know.
But we do offer at Speedy, though, is that if we can't get to you, we do guarantee air conditioning that day. It might not be your new installation, but we do have processes and things in place that.
I think we can say it on the air, Jeff.
You think we can say
I
that
think
we
we can say it,
that we
yeah.
carry portable air conditioners
Yeah.
so you can sleep?
Okay.
We have
Yeah.
roll-around portables, and we can get you relief.
Yeah. Well, even I since then have a very small window unit tucked away in the, you know, one that would be sort of disposable in the event of a hurricane or no air conditioning.
It's a great idea.
We all live in one room.
Well, we you know, I brought that up on earlier shows that, you know, people up north have a space heater.
That's true.
People in Florida should have,
Yeah.
you know, a little
Yeah.
99 window air conditioner.
Sure.
You'd be amazed how comfortable that'll be.
Yeah. I mean, we've been tripping over it for a long time, but you know, it's peace of mind too.
I've even had to use it once or twice, so.
Looks like we've got a call.
That's Bulldog.
The name says Bulldog.
Yeah, the name says Bulldog.
So, Bulldog, welcome to the show. And what's your question, Bulldog?
Hey, yeah, I know it's not the Joe Martek show,
That's
right,
okay.
Veronica? You know, but I did have a question about air scrubbers. I'm buying a new house, and my significant other has asked me to look into those. Unfortunately, it's not going to be within, I don't think, your service realm because I'm going to Palm Coast. But I want you to give me a general idea of what the installation, just the cost involved. Does it require additional ductwork, and is it compatible with every SEER-rated unit, or do you have to modify that as well?
So, Bulldog, when you say an air scrubber,
Yes.
are you I'm just trying to understand exactly what you're talking about. Is this like a filter system? Is this a like ultraviolet air purifier, or is this something different?
It's something like that. They just call it an air scrubber, and she mentioned it, and it's something that you actually put in the unit to. I don't know if it's ultraviolet. I'm not sure what it is.
It sounds like it's like American Standard and Train have that electrostatic filter that sits up underneath.
Yeah, like an air scrubber is sort of a general term, and it could encompass 2 or 3 different types of air purification systems.
What would you recommend in an air purification system? So let's start there.
Yeah, well, air filtration is important. Like if you've got allergies or you're trying to control the level of dust in the air, then air filtration is very important. UV or ultraviolet is also important because that helps to address microorganisms.
Now, I Googled air scrubber for you, Bulldog. They're going to take a look at what came up and see if it's...
It's the HEPA filter, and I know what you're talking about now.
And actually, these that you Googled are, I know what it is. This is just an add-on. It goes on. It circulates through the return air. So it's tied in. There's a supply and return on the return air side of the ductwork, and it's filtration. Basically, it's a filter. And an air scrubber is good. It's a HEPA type filter, which is a very high efficient filter. And what it does, it captures a portion of the return air and then circulates it back in clean. That's good. A good high efficiency pleated filter directly in line is going to be just as good or maybe better, just because you're capturing 100% of the air that goes through the air handler, not just a percentage of it. And to your question, like filtration reduces the amount of particles that are going to be recirculated into the home, and ultraviolet addresses microorganisms, mold spores, bacteria, that type of thing, and it neutralizes that type of particle and reduces the levels in the home. So both are important. It really somewhat depends on what you're trying to achieve, and if you have certain allergies that you're trying to reduce or eliminate to give you better comfort.
I think it's just basically down to as clean as I can get the air in the house, the better.
Right.
It's kind of like one of those things. We're big on opening screen doors and everything and letting a lot out from the outside in. So, because microparticles will go through screen, no problem. But it's just like anything to purify the air a little bit more efficiently would be, my goal.
Yeah.
The AccuClean electrostatic filtration by American Standard is very good, and that basically sits up underneath any American Standard or trained system. They're they have the electronic air cleaners in there, and they also have zappers in there for the smaller particles that you disintegrate when it goes through. And they also offer one with a blue light that's in there, the UV light. And that's pretty, basically you uninstall your unit, put it on the bottom of it, set your unit back on, and you're good to go.
What's that generally cost, and how often does that have to be maintained?
So as far as cost goes, it's difficult to, without seeing what we've got to work with, to establish a cost.
Average.
I can tell you, if it's like a vertical installation that's easy to move and take down, you're probably in the $1,000 to $1,500 range, for a good high efficiency air cleaner. And if you're going to add a UV, you might even be a little bit more than that. And if you're planning on replacing the system in the home you're moving into, that would be the time to put it in, because that's going to reduce your cost. If somebody's coming in to an existing system, has to remove the air handler, put the filter system in, and reinstall the air handler, it's going to be more money than if you're just putting a new air handler in, just because you're almost, installing. It's like installing the new air handler. Basically that's what you're doing. So, if the system needs replacing or you're considering it, that's when I would put it in to keep your costs as low as possible. As far as installation goes, because then it's probably going to be under $1,000.
All right, if I'm moving in with an existing, then what's my best option?
Well, how old is
if I want to keep it? It's only maybe a few years old.
Okay, if it's horizontal, then they can cut the duct away from the return and slide it in. If it's vertical, they're going to have to remove the air handler from the stand.
Right, exactly. I'm just saying, is there another option though?
Sometimes
I can do without
the only other option I can think of, Bulldog, is if you have a return air grill that's mounted in a ceiling or a wall, and it's the right size, you can actually buy high efficiency filters that extend into the space. So they're like a 4 or 5 inch pleated filter. So you'd take the filter frame out that's there now that has the 1 inch filter, and you'd put the new filter in that has a 4 to 5 inch pleated filter in it that would fit into the same space. But again, you're limited on sizes there, and that's why it's difficult without seeing things to tell you exactly what your options are. But
and why is it those openings are always different? They're always there's a million different sizes.
Well, I think it depends on the builder and the air conditioning contractor that put it in.
Yeah.
What grills do they use? What manufacturer?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's you're right. It is.
So you would have to you'd have to know, Bulldog, exactly what size that return is. The
19
grill.
and a half by. Yeah, I know.
I know already.
Yeah, I do. Believe me, I buy filters.
Yeah, 19 and a half by 19 and a half. Yeah, that's at least $3,000, right?
There you go.
No.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much.
You're welcome,
Bulldog.
Thanks for your call. We appreciate it. And the number here is 772-340-1590. If you have any questions in respect to air conditioning, ductwork, air filtration, whatever it may be, please give us a call here at the station, and we'd be happy to field your questions. That was an interesting question. Air filtration is always interesting, indoor air quality. And it's not always, this is a type of thing when you get into that, you pretty well have to see what you've got to work with to make recommendations. There are a lot of different types of filters, configurations, different manufacturers, UV products available on the market today. And we have a couple different brands that we really like and that work well. But again, I don't like to guess. I'm not doing anybody a favor by guessing over the phone or on the air at what's going to work for you. You really have to assess what's in your system.
Well, I learned something today. I had no idea that they had a thicker filter that could go in that space. I just figured that's just the way they come.
And again, it's only if you have the depth within that space where it will work. It won't work every time, and that's why you pretty well have to measure it to make sure that that space is actually available to install that filter. Yeah.
You could stuff a small child in the space under our air conditioner.
Then the filter would probably work in your application then. Yeah.
Oh.
Again, we are Speedy on call. We're an air conditioning contractor in Port St. Lucie. We cover the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach down to Hope Sound. And again, we wanted to remind you that we do have some manufacturer specials on replacement systems right now, where they're still offering a rebate from the manufacturer and 0% financing up to 3 years. And yes, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. If you have any questions, if you're looking to get an estimate, some of those specials end at the end of the month and some of them end in June. So we don't want you to be left out on that. And our office number is 772-871-1560.
And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Speedy on Call after this.
You're listening to Speedy on Call with the experts of Speedy Air Conditioning Service here on WPSL. Call in with your questions, 340-1590. Now, back to your host.
Hello, this is Dave and Jeff, and welcome to Speedy on Call. Speedy AC Service offers installation, repairs, and service. We service the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach to Hope Sound. Right now, qualified customers can get 0% financing for up to 36 months with each new AC installation. Well,
So carrying on with our theme today on installation and the difference in installations, I heard this one time somebody was asking me about how to understand the qualifications or the quality that you're getting, and somebody said to me one time, when you go to school for engineering or be a doctor or air conditioning contractor, somebody's going to finish at the top of the class.
Always.
And somebody's going to finish at the very bottom of the class. And
But everyone's going to finish.
But everybody passes. Everybody
Yeah.
manages to pass.
That's true.
And somebody asked me one time, which doctor do you want? The one that finished in the top 5% or the one that finished in the bottom 5%?
I say that too.
And of course, everybody's going to say top 5%, right? So, we find that in the air conditioning industry. We have contractors out there that are on the very top percent as far as
I would probably say here in Florida we have some folks that haven't even seen the school.
Yeah,
well, the only qualifications
Yeah.
is a white van and a ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It's we joke around a little bit in the industry because we see the differences out there, and we field the calls when we go out and we clean up after other contractors. Sometimes even licensed contractors have done work, and either they didn't pull a permit and then they get caught, and then we have to go and pull the permit and finish the job, or it's just such a sloppy mess that it doesn't work properly.
My favorite thing is clown air conditioning. You can ask Fabio about that one.
Clown air conditioning.
You go in there, oh my God, what clown put this in?
Yep. And we
Like
get
that.
we do get a lot of comments. Jeff, just recently we did an installation in Vero Beach where the original when the home was built, they put a new system in. It never seemed to work right, and we just got a review from this lady, and she's expressing how she's getting roughly 40% more airflow now. We replaced the whole duct system and put a new system in. The duct system was getting older. And now the system is breathing the way it's supposed to. It's functioning the way it's supposed to. They've got the efficiency. They've got the airflow. And when Jeff and I are very fortunate that we were trained by really good people. I went to trade school. I got certified, and we're very thankful that we have that skill set, because when we give estimates and when we do installations, we want to deliver a product, a quality product, so that homeowners recognize and our reviews validate that we've done a good job and that the system's functioning correctly.
Yeah, it's an important purchase.
It's huge. It's huge. It's something that's rushed into way too often, but I would just encourage folks to be selective. Ask good questions. Even go online, and there's places online where it says questions to ask the contractor. Go to the FPL website. There's good questions there to ask contractors. But when a contractor comes in and does a proposal, hopefully they're just not scribbling a number on the back of a business card and saying, "Hey, here's our price." When we do a proposal, we feel it's very important to give the homeowner everything in writing. The model numbers of equipment you're getting, what the SEER ratings are, that we're including all your duct connections, that we're including a new thermostat, that we're including all the code upgrades, your permit is included.
And you're really going to fill me up with Freon. Or refrigerant, I should say.
That with a new system, you're going to have the new refrigerant. You're going to have the lines cleaned or new lines based on the condition that you've got today. So there's sometimes we think that everything is equal and every contractor is equal and every installation is equal, but nothing can be further from the truth. There is
I think that's true in most businesses. I mean,
it is.
really is.
I mean, look in the car industry when you go to a car dealer. How many times have you heard someone, I bought a car from him. I'll never buy a car from him again. Is it the car?
No,
Or
it's
was
the
it-
experience.
Or was it the people that he was dealing with?
Right.
It's the same principle. There's some dealerships that'll bend over backwards to make sure that your needs are met. Others, here's the car that you got what you paid for. Bye.
Correct. And there are things on installations that we feel as a contractor that we include that other contractors don't include, and it's just additional protection for whether it's for the compressor, whether it's the type of agents we use to clean the lines. It's the method that we use to, whether it's how we do our brazing, how we evacuate the lines. We do a triple evacuation, and you can do a single evacuation or no evacuation, and you know what? The system will still run, but the problems will show up down the road.
Okay.
So there is steps that, if a contractor's in and out in 3 hours and has done an installation, yeah, it's doable, but there's no way they did everything correct within that time period. And I hear these things, and I just cringe every time I hear it. There is, if you're going to do a proper,
Dave, I know I can get one done, a nice one done in 3 hours.
Yeah, when you were younger, maybe when you were younger. Not today, I don't think so.
No.
But
you know what? There's many ways to get something done, and then there's the right way to get things done.
Yes, and unfortunately, because you got a permit and a past inspection, none of that stuff is looked at. It's just all they want to look for is that it's met the code requirements. Has nothing to do with how it was installed.
Right. Okay.
So
some of the things. Let's talk about that. Why do you need a new slab? Well, you have to be 4 inches above grade per building code. Breakers. You breakers need to match what the breaker size is on the equipment.
Needs to match a rating plate.
Okay.
Exactly.
Code.
Yep.
Those are things that an inspector look for. Is everything sealed? They look for that. But what they don't look for, did they put a time delay in? Did they put a liquid line dryer in? Did they triple evacuate it? Did they flush the lines? Did they brace?
Well, they wouldn't know that unless they were standing over the installer at the time, would they?
No, they
Okay.
wouldn't, and that's not really their job. Their job is to make sure that a permit that it complied with state regulations, that a permit's been pulled and it can pass an inspection.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the permit, there's the unit, everything looks okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
The other items,
Exactly.
the other items are very subjective to the contractor doing the work. And was there damage, prior damage? Are you replacing the plywood on top? Are you, there's a lot of additional things that we always consider, and we point out to the homeowner to make sure that at the end of the day, everything is new, everything is installed properly, everything's going to function correctly. And then the follow-up too. If something doesn't work right, can you call that contractor? Are they going to respond right away? There is all those things that go into both what I feel in running a good company, good quality company, and delivering a type of customer service that customers will give you those 5-star reviews because they recognize what they got is what they were hoping for or better. So those are the things that are really, really important to us when it comes to customer service and quality.
And we're also trying to improve on what we do now. We always talk about, well, how can we avoid this in the future, or what do you think would be better?
There's a term, if anybody's in manufacturing or, it's called Kaizen, which is a Japanese term. It was started by Toyota, and it's a process it's a continuous improvement process. Basically, that's what it means. And I learned that a few years ago, and it's always been the focus in my mind. Is like, and I talk to my guys. I say, if there's something that you feel we can do better, more efficient, more accurate, I want to know, because we want to include that in our process.
Sure.
This is important to us because the better product we can deliver for a homeowner, the more satisfied they are, and the more they'll recommend us, and the busier we'll be, and we're not going to be out of work. So those things are important, and we want to be recognized as a quality contractor in the marketplace, and you can't do that by doing sloppy work all the time and having bad reviews. So that's the focus, and we just want to remind everybody out there that we have open lines. Be happy to field any of your air conditioning questions. You can reach us here at 772-340-1590 at WPSL. We'd be happy to answer your questions. And just to remind you again, we do have manufacturer specials on till some end at the end of the month, and some are ending in June, that feature manufacturer rebates and manufacturer-sponsored 0% financing, which is a very attractive item. There's no penalty charge or anything on these for paying it off early, or larger lump sum payments per month, and it just gives you the flexibility to put something in today and not have to pay for it tomorrow. So if you've been considering and you're thinking, maybe it'll get through one more summer, maybe it will, But if it doesn't, unfortunately, you're going to be paying top dollar in the middle of summer when somebody comes out.
Yeah, but if it is struggling, it's going to be costing you more to run too.
No question.
So
You're going to get energy savings.
get it
in
looked
that.
at.
And also remember, one lucky customer this month is going to receive a Wi-Fi Focus 6000 Honeywell thermostat.
Yep. And this has been Wi-Fi thermostats have become very popular because it gives you the ability to monitor your air conditioning system on your phone. You can adjust the temperature, you can check the energy consumption, and you can actually program it directly from your phone or from the thermostat itself. But it gives you that flexibility. Or if you've gone away for the day and you've gone to work and you forgot to turn the air conditioner up a little bit to save some energy for the day, then you can just do it from your phone. Mm-hmm. It's a great tool as long as you've got internet capability in your home. You've got the Wi-Fi connection to your smartphone.
And it gets even more technical. I think coming out this week, the Alexa, where you can just say, "Alexa, could you turn the air on?"
I've got the Alexa.
I had the
in my
article
home,
last week,
and I was just reading that yesterday. The additional functionality that Alexa has, and I was actually going to read the instructions and see how to do it because I want to be able to play with that. But the technology that's coming out there is it can be complicated, but it's a lot of fun as well.
Sure.
Just to be able to talk.
You have to watch what you say, though, or you'll be turning your air on. Those keywords
Yes,
that
yes,
turn the air on. Hey, it's cold in here.
Yeah, and we don't want to. I think you have to say Alexa first, though, before she will respond to any request.
Oh my, another Siri.
But you have to. But you wonder if she's always listening.
Are you worried about Big Brother?
Just a wee tiny
George
bit.
Orwell.
Oh no! Oh my!
And we're doing it to ourselves.
We like it.
Yeah.
One, not to cut you off, but before I forget, there's one reference on 410A. You know about the explosion, right? At their factory plant?
Oh, I heard something about an explosion in China.
It was China, where they lost their main chemical ingredient, R125, I believe it was. And 410A has, at this point right now, doubled in price.
Just because of availability.
Wow.
Until they can get it back
in
on
China.
Stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if anybody was wondering whether refrigerant comes from China,
apparently.
Unfortunately, a lot of things come from China, and
that's
been, we get asked. It's another question we get asked a lot of time when we go out to do an estimate. I want to buy something that's American made, and unfortunately, pretty well every manufacturer assemble everything in their plant. They make their cabinets or coils and other things in the plant. Their blower housings are typically made here. But when it comes to electronics and the motors and the compressors and that type of thing, there's very little that's made in country anymore. A lot of it's outsourced, whether it's Japan or Mexico or other
places.
Look
at your televisions. Most of them are
absolutely.
Definitely.
There's very little that's made here.
Electronics are.
Yeah. It's good to see some manufacturers, that they do have very thorough testing of the components that come in and have a little stricter policies on the components they're buying. But, for the most part, everything is coming from offshore. I know nobody wants to hear that, but that's the reality of air conditioning. So if somebody tells you, this is all American made, I can assure you it doesn't matter what brand they're talking about, they're lying to you. Because that's just not the case.
Because I can pull apart and show you.
Yep. Once it's installed in your home, if you pull that panel off and start looking at all the components, you'll see where they're all made. And it doesn't matter what brand we're talking about.
Sure.
But so one of the things that we also like to talk about when we're doing an estimate is the warranty. And warranties are really important when it comes to equipment, because just like we mentioned, a lot of offshore components going into equipment. I can assure you, I've been in this industry, I hate to say, a little over 40 years now, and I've seen consolidation of manufacturers where we've gone from 60 or 70 manufacturers to 7 in North America. All those brand names are still out there, but they're all being made in the same plant now, so it's a lot of the same product. And when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I can recall unpackaging an air conditioner. and they weighed 50 to 75 pounds more than the air conditioners we have today. Now our efficiencies are higher, and some of the weight loss is because we need thinner materials to get better heat transfer, to get better efficiency. But others is just cutting costs in manufacturing. And so when it comes to warranties, we do offer 5 and 10-year warranties on all the new systems that we install, and it's not that much more for those warranties. And we feel good in offering that, because if you're buying, the manufacturer's already giving you a 10-year parts warranty, but if then you bolt on the 10-year labor warranty to that, now you've got 10 years parts and labor coverage. And really, other than maintenance, you should never have a repair bill because you've got an extended warranty.
And you're going to do that maintenance anyway.
Well,
You should.
it's actually a requirement for both
For
from
the
the
warranty.
manufacturer, for the manufacturer warranty and the labor warranty. They can ask for proof that you've had annual maintenance, and if you can't supply that, they can deny you a part or labor coverage on your warranty policy regardless. So it is, and it's not just that that's the requirement. When you have annual maintenance, you are reducing your operating cost, you're reducing your probability of breakdown, and you're assuring that you're efficient, your equipment's running clean and efficient. So you should be extending the life of your equipment. So there's some very important, and you've got the peace of mind,
Sure.
that you're running at optimal efficiency. It's sure it's going to cost a few dollars, but it's really the right thing to do all the way around. You wouldn't run your car without an oil change or a tune-up forever, and you really shouldn't run your air conditioner. Our air conditioners in Florida run 3,400 to 3,800 hours a year. When you translate that into miles, it's like running your car 30 to 40,000 miles a year.
Sure.
We get a lot of usage out of them here. So that's very important to have the maintenance done as well. So we're going to go to another commercial break, and then we'll be back. If you have any calls, call us here at 772-340-1590. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Speedy on call.
You're listening to Speedy on Call with the experts of Speedy Air Conditioning Service here on WPSL. Call in with your questions, 340-1590. Now, back to your host.
Well, welcome. This is Dave and Jeff, and welcome back to Speedy on Call. We're a full-service, licensed, and insured air conditioning repair and service company. At this point, we're offering qualified customers with 0% financing rebates up to $1,100. We are now currently talking about installation and installation checklists and procedures on a good installation. Some of the things that I've been asked is why do we put a time delay in a new system? I mean, what benefits does that have to a customer with a new system?
Are you asking me, Jeff?
Well, you're the only one in the room that knows about it.
Okay. Well, time delay is important. Basically, what a time delay does, if you lose power, and we get a lot of that here in Florida, where you have thunderstorms or power outages.
And sometimes we don't even know why, and it just
That's right.
goes
That's
off,
right.
comes back on.
The microwave is flashing, and you need to reset it. But when we get that condition and our air conditioner is running, when the power goes off, if it's a very brief outage where it goes off and within a few seconds it comes back on again, the compressor on the air conditioner is running under over 300 pounds pressure. And what'll happen is when the power shuts off, comes back on again, the compressor stops momentarily, and then you're asking it to start again, and there's so much pressure build up there that it can't start. So typically what happens is it overheats. Now there is a safety switch built into the compressor which is called a thermal overload, and it will shut the unit down before it actually burns out. But with a time delay, once the power is lost, it times out 5 minutes before it allows the compressor to try to start. So that time delay really is a protection for the compressor so that it can never go into thermal overload and overheat and potentially burn out the compressor.
Wow. And
it's not an expensive component, but we put it on every installation because we don't want you to lose your compressor prematurely. So it's an important thing to us. These sound like, some of these might sound like small things, but another thing we found is a simple thing like when you're installing the air handler and connecting the ductwork to the the new air handler, that we use an angle bracket on the air handler so that we don't have air leakage, and that it makes a very tight connection so that you have a strong connection. So over the life of the equipment, you shouldn't have any buckling or leakage around that joint. And you can use a bracket or not use a bracket. You can still make a connection. It'll still pass code. It'll still pass inspection. But the results of that will show up down the road.
That's just typically one more step that we take, because brackets are supplied with the units. They're in a separate pack, rolled up.
So you're saying there are people who may show up and leave that package untouched?
Thrown away in the box.
Wow.
Thrown away in the box. Never taken out of the box.
Wow. Yeah, it's just stuff you don't need.
Yeah, and we actually batted around manufacturing our own to make it even stronger.
They wouldn't send it if you didn't need it, right?
Well, typically not. There's probably a reason the
It's
manufacturer
like
puts that in the box.
when you build those components from IKEA and you have extra parts.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, uh-oh.
Well, that's a good job.
Well, don't they ship extra parts?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I never really got anything from IKEA yet, but
those are some
I
of
think
the-
if you have extra parts, you have a problem.
Yeah.
Typically. The other thing I wanted to point out is the use of a micron gauge, and I'm using a technical term, but a micron gauge is basically a gauge that when you're evacuating the existing lines and of the system, after the lines have been welded, like the new equipment's been installed, you're basically pulling a vacuum, a negative pressure, to try to remove all the contaminants from inside the line. And we use, every installation, we have a micron gauge, and we want to pull down to what we call a 500 PSI micron, or or not PSI, it's 500 microns is what the measurement is.
Negative pressure.
Negative pressure. And that assures that you've pulled everything out. And then once you've done that, you want to introduce nitrogen, which actually helps to absorb any residual refrigerant or contaminants in the line, and then we pull it again. We do that 3 times.
And contaminants are,
Does it
everybody
eliminate
says,
the air as well?
That's the main contaminant.
Okay.
Is the air.
Air holds moisture. Moisture is an enemy to refrigerant. It will actually create acid over time within the refrigerant, which is an enemy to the system. No.
Burns the windings.
If you don't pull down a good vacuum, you haven't assured that you've pulled all the contaminants, all the air, all the moisture out of the system. And this is really key to a long-lasting installation. I've talked to guys that have worked for other contractors that don't even know what a micron gauge is. Mm-hmm. They don't use it because they don't know it exists. But those are just a couple of things that we feel are very important, and we're very diligent on doing in our installations. We do have another caller, Tom. And Tom, welcome to the show. And what is your question?
Guys. Okay, I want to talk about ductwork.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious. It seems like the backside of my house, the furthest away from the handler, is not getting the volume through the vents that the fronts are. Now, the one thing I've noticed that I haven't noticed in other places I've lived, I went up there to do some cable work, is my ducting is all square. It just seems like when the air gets to the end of the square, it hits a dead end. It can't make that 45-degree turn. Am I wrong on that, thinking like that?
No, that is original ductwork. I'm sure the house is at least over 20 years old.
I'm sure.
Yeah, Tom, that's one of the most common comments we get when we're going out doing estimates on new systems, is that furthest region from the air handler is the one that gets the least amount of air and is always the warmest. Your square duct system, if it's designed correctly, it's going to deliver the air there. But in some cases, you can have deterioration, you can have squashed duct, you can have ductwork that's come apart.
No turning vanes.
Yeah, if it's all intact. And clearly, Tom, you understand that a radius turn or a rounded turn elbow is better than a square one, because a square one doesn't allow the duct to travel through the same way or with the same amount of volume. But that's the way the old systems were installed. Now, in many cases, if there's accessibility, that can be corrected by either increasing the duct size at some point, or running additional ductwork, whether it's supply or return or both, to help to supplement that area and make the temperature and comfort level equal or very close to the rest of the house. But again, that's the type of thing where we typically come out, look at it, and then give you recommendations on what can be done or not.
And after, if it's over 20 years old, Tom, I mean, it's time to upgrade that ductwork to the round flex, where you can actually put the air where you want to put the air. You can get the full CFM from your machine to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So it's smaller. I got a smaller place, 1,100 square feet. It's got 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, living room. Is that an expensive procedure?
Well, it's not cheap to replace your whole ductwork, and again, it depends on the room available. If it's like a sort of a squat down, kneeling, crawling attic, it's going to be more money than if it's if you can either half stand or fully stand in the attic, taller roof, then the job is easier and there's less cost involved. It's really how many man hours you're going to have and the amount of material you need to do it. So typically a duct replacement job can be anywhere from a day to 2 days, depending on what you've got to work with.
Okay. So, and you said you come out with a free estimate on that, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do not charge for duct replacement estimates or equipment like system replacement estimates. Those are always free. I don't know if I mentioned that on the show, but replacement estimates are free. Where are you located, Tom?
Port St. Lucie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'd be happy to come out. If you call the office, they can schedule it for you when it's convenient, and either myself or Jeff would typically come out and have a look at it and assess what we've got and then give you a written estimate.
Look forward to seeing you, Tom.
I appreciate all that help. I'll be in touch.
Okay. Thanks for calling, Tom.
All right.
Great. 340-1590 if you've got a question. Now, I have a question. Over 20 years old, you believe, because of the ductwork? More than likely, the units are not that old. Someone along the way probably put new units on. Would that have been a good time to check and see if the ductwork was a problem?
Well, someone didn't ask someone a question. Do you have a room that's a problem?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would think with 1,100 square feet, there really shouldn't be any problems, should there?
That's not a large space to have a area that's not getting equal airflow. And that's why, like he said, he was doing cabling up there. So he's probably had a look at it, and my guess is that Tom saw it's intact. We do see situations where the cable guy came in and he kneeled on the duct and squashed it, or a piece came apart and is leaking, and that could cause the problem. But to your question about the age of the duct system, I see some older systems that are in really good shape, and then some others that really need to be replaced. Especially if you're putting new equipment in, you're sort of
defeating the purpose.
Exactly, you're defeating the purpose.
You may be air conditioning the attic.
Yes, partly, and I've seen plenty of times where there's been rodents get in the attic and have chewed through the duct system, or there's multiple holes, the insulation's missing, and that really needs to be addressed to maintain the integrity of the efficiency of the system.
And who really knows what goes on up there? I mean, you think you go through one hurricane and you may have water blow through your vent systems, and you may not even realize that water has gotten in there. Would that harm the ductwork?
Yes, the ductwork has insulation, so if the
Okay.
insulations become wet, that can be a problem. It's hard to re-dry it, but if it's become wet, it could compromise the integrity of the insulation. But I just wanted to say one more time, we only have a few minutes left here, and we've mentioned it a couple times during the show that this is Speedy Air Conditioning. We are Speedy on Call, and we are a full-service air conditioning company servicing Vero Beach to Hope Sound. And we do currently have some manufacturer specials that are on. If you're in the market at all or considering replacing your system, we do provide free estimates. We do come out and do a complete assessment of your system and go over different options with you that it would work for you. And, part of the manufacturer rebates right now are ending at the end of the month. Some are ending in June, and they do feature both the rebate component, which can be several hundreds of dollars up to $1,100, and if you're going to the real high-end equipment, and 0% financing up to 36 months. So
it's like giving away free money.
It is. You buy now, you install now, you pay later. It's a great deal, and then just in a lot of cases, the energy savings that folks are getting from the new system is paying for half of their monthly payment. So and they're really eliminating the possibility of future cost of repairs, because if you're having ongoing repair costs, that can get very expensive. So if you can eliminate that with a new system, increase your efficiency, get a 0% finance payment, it's actually not that much per month to be into a new system, have a full warranty, have the peace of mind that your system is covered if it does break down. All of our manufacturers carry a 10-year labor warranty. We offer 10-year parts warranty. We offer a 10-year labor warranty, and with that, you can be covered bumper to bumper for 10 years. You don't have to worry about your system for a long time. Just have it maintained once a year, and you're good to go. So, we do have time for a final caller. If you have any questions, 340-1590.
It would have to be a quick one. We're down to a minute.
Oh, I've been talking too much.
That's okay.
Well,
that's the whole idea.
We do appreciate you tuning in today, and our office number is 772-871-1560. If you have further questions, Jeff and I are there, or we can get back to you. Or if you wanted to schedule an appointment for an estimate, you can reach us at the office. Our staff is happy to set up those appointments for you at 772-871-1560.
You got a great website, too.
Visit us at speedyacservice.com.
Perfect.
Check out our
Facebook
webpage, our Facebook page, our reviews. We'd be happy to be your contractor of choice.
Great. We'll see you next week.
Yes, we will. Thanks, Veronica.